Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Mighty Mornings, where we talk about all your favorite TV shows of yesteryear, practically from the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. If you're watching, thank you for joining. And unfortunately, Elvin is not here. He is in another mainframe. That's just a little hint of what we're going to be talking about. It is going to be ReBoot. But before we get to that, our next episode, March 4th, is going to be a special episode. It's actually mine and Elvin's birthday. So we are going to have a birthday celebration. So be sure to tune in. But let's get on with it. We have another mainframer here, someone new to our show. Or with me, it is Michael. Hello, Michael.
That mainframe joke was the best. I chuckled in the background.
It's that nerdy side of us who watch the show. It's all those little dad jokes in there. So I'm surprised Elvin's missing this.
Yeah, well, he had other systems to restore, I guess, right? You know what? Growing up with ReBoot, I had no idea what I was watching as a kid because, it came out in 94, so I was 4.
You were 4?
I was 4. I was little baby, but
God, I'm old.
It was but then you got to appreciate it more, right?
Yes.
Like it was this wild trip of 3D animations. I'm like, this looks so cool. They play games. I didn't get that, like, they're inside a computer, right?
Yeah. It's it was one of my favorite shows because I was probably about maybe 12 or 13 around that time. And I remember how computer animation was coming along, and this was aired on YTV. It is a Canadian produced cartoon, which is awesome.
Yeah, and go Canada.
I know, we're good for something, right? But YTV started doing these computer shorts in between shows. So if there was too much time, they'd play these animations that I do believe came from the same company that put out ReBoot. So it just gave us a taste, and then they gave us the cartoon, which I still love to this day. And funny enough, I've been watching it on Tubi. They have all the seasons. Yeah.
Yeah. How does it feel revisiting it? Like, how does it hold up to today's television and animations?
Well, let's just say with evolution of animation, it doesn't hold up the best. But once it gets to season 3, that's a cool thing about this show is you kind of see the evolution of how animation changes. It's kind of like the first Tomb Raider game when she had pyramid breasts. And then
everything was pointy, yeah.
Yeah. And then in the second game, they were like, we can render actual shapes.
Yes.
The animation might not hold up, but it's still entertaining. And to be honest with you, with your question of, does it hold up to the times, I still think it's informative. It's not like an educational show, but computers are everything. We rely on it. So in that sense, I think it still holds up. There's not many good cartoons that I think are out there right now, but did you watch it after you got to an age?
I never, yes, in my teenage years, I revisited here and there. I never got a chance to watch it as an adult. I definitely want to.
Yeah.
But I also wonder if, and this is why I ask you, I guess, I wonder if I will still feel the same way about it today like I did as a kid. Like, will it still have that same wow factor? Obviously, because, again, animations have changed, right? Story writing has changed. over the years. So I do want to revisit and see if it holds up, because wasn't there a reboot to reboot like in
Okay.
last year?
Oh my God. I was waiting to get to that.
Maybe
uh,
come back to that later.
yeah. You know what? We touched on it. So, yes, back in 2018, Netflix brought in Reboot the Guardian Code, and they tried introducing actual real life characters and then going into computer animation. So, it's these 4 or 5 characters who will enter the computer and fight the viruses and do whatever. It was so bad. I don't know if
Yeah.
you caught any of the episodes, but
I saw clips of it. I just want to say hello to everyone joining us. Brick something, Dragon Eyes, leave my toys alone. Good morning, guys. Yeah, so I saw clips of it, and I'm just like, what is this, right? Like it's like what they did with Jumanji. You know how it's like, oh yeah, everyone just warps in through this video game console now. Yeah, I couldn't waste my time with it.
no. And to be honest with you, the only reason why I wanted to watch it is in some of the episodes we got reintroduced to some famous characters from the original. Like I only watched it to see Megabyte and Hexadecimal, which by the way,
Yeah.
Hexadecimal was probably my favorite character. She's crazy, she's freaky, and she's just downright powerful.
Oh yes, yes, childhood crush.
Yeah. A
In a
woman with a
way.
mask. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, a woman with power. Oh man. So like, yeah, let's talk about the names of the characters here. Like again, so I didn't realize how much it was computer related. I'm just like, oh, Megabyte. That's an interesting name. Until I realized as I got older, I'm like, oh, Megabyte. You know, yeah, like that's computer related. And then in hexadecimal and all that. And obviously, when in the later seasons when they fuse together into terabyte.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I'm just like, they're so clever with the namings of this.
Oh my god. It
Mm.
it was so good. And honestly, the character concept of these computer characters are just so genius. You have
Yeah.
sprites who look like humans
Yes.
to bring a human aspect to it, but then you also have the computer chips and they
Yeah.
have the little details on them. So if you're a computer nerd, it's definitely something to go back and watch. And
Yeah.
honestly, just enjoy it because it's all about computer systems and you're going to watch it. And I love how it relates to computer nerds. And I'm sorry for saying a stereotype that some people might not like, but we're nerds. We don't care.
Mm-hmm.
You're just going to watch it and enjoy it because there's a lot of aspects to this show that they touch on. There's things that are in real life, and especially in the 3rd or 4th season when you do the fighting game that looks like Mortal Kombat. It's sick.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So for anyone that doesn't know the concept of the show, I guess, it is all about the life inside a computer, and every episode, I guess it is every episode, right? There is a
Yeah.
game that gets warped in. Like, and I didn't understand the whole. So a game warps in, which represents the human controlling the computer playing the game, right? And everyone in the game becomes a NPC, right? Non-playable character.
It's so fun. Sorry, go ahead.
No, well, yeah, I was just gonna say, like, it never made sense to me why, like, oh, if the user wins, part of the computer gets destroyed, you know?
Right? I'm like, so if I play a computer game, is it going
Yeah.
to ruin my computer? Brick says it felt like Tron to me at the time, which is a good thing.
Oh,
Really?
yeah.
I completely agree. But yeah, the GameCubes, it was an interesting concept. I loved it because there were a lot of themes that they played off of, like first person shooter, Jaws, Oh my god, in the first episode of season 3 or 4, it's Dot and Enzo. I actually just watched the episode last night where they go into a graveyard and there are these
Yeah.
zombies and they have an
Uh,
Evil Dead theme.
Yeah. Yeah, so it really opened up that possibility to play on almost anything they wanted to, right?
Oh my god, yeah.
And there's very little genres that could do that, where it's like you can take anything from any game, any pop culture thing, and kind of work it in somehow.
Yeah, it was a very smart. It was a very smart cartoon, is all I have to say. It kind of made you understand computers a little more. Like, obviously, it's not like, it's like Googling information about something. Some of it's true, some of it's not. Yeah.
What did you think of Bob and like the concept of a guardian in relation to how this whole computer system works? Like, I always thought of it like an antivirus, but not really. So what is Bob's purpose?
Well, they couldn't really call him McAfee. I think it's cool. Like, again, it gives us a visual representation of, virus protection. We got this character who came from the supercomputer, which theory it came from the main area where this virus protection was created. And he's in the system to protect it as much as he can. And, it's funny because that goes with, even though we have virus protection on our actual computers, doesn't mean we're 100% fully covered. So, yeah, it's kind of a great... It was a great relationship that they added in there, especially with Bob and Dot. They had to add that in there.
Oh yeah. Well, there had to be something.
Yeah.
So I mean, as the seasons progressed, it was also great to see the character development. Like there was actually growth in the characters, which maybe we'll get into a little bit later on, like how much the show actually changes. Right?
Yeah.
But to watch characters grow, to see the environment change, right? I'm not really sure what direction we want to take this narrative right now, but maybe I'll let you drive the discussion here. But I got so much I want to get into, but I'm going to go off on like different directions here. So
okay, let's take a break from deep thought and talk about what was released with this cartoon. And definitely, as toy collectors, there were definitely some toys that were released for this cartoon. So give me 1 second. I'm going to share. I got some images.
Yeah. Yes, back in the day, what you can find at your local Toys R Us or something.
Zellers, Kmart.
Oh, Zellers.
Which, have you heard they're coming back?
I did hear. That's wild.
Okay, give me 1 second. There we go. There we are. So, you guys can see that, right?
Oh, it shows up for me, yeah.
Okay, good. It shows up for everyone. So the first release of figures were these guys that came in some pretty cool packaging. They had some accessories, limited articulation. I never understood the delete disc that these figures came with.
Yeah.
But, it's little things that they added in. Kids love little things. And it's just an invitation to put it in your mouth and swallow it,
Yeah.
So
Don't
we got
put
Dot
it
Matrix.
in your mouth.
Yeah, oh my God. Yes. See,
Yeah, Dot
they
Matrix.
were smart. Yeah.
Oh
They were
yeah.
smart
Oh
when
yeah.
they did that.
Yeah.
Hexadecimal. She was awesome. She came with 3 different masks. We had 2 different versions of her. We had the original version, and then this one when the web creature took her over, which is such a good episode. And then it took over Megabyte, and then after that they merged, and we got Gigabyte. Um, yeah, and I can honestly say I had all these figures, and then when season 3 came, oh my god, I was looking for this. So I had these figures. I had them all. Let's face it.
Oh, yeah.
These figures were cool. These had those cool action features where if you put them in cold water, they change color. So
Oh,
we
that's
had
sick.
Dot, Enzo, and Bob with the color changing. It wasn't a huge action figure base because it only went for 4 seasons. We got a little spin-off of My Two Bobs. Again, if you are wanting to watch all these episodes, if you don't have Tubi, download Tubi. It's free.
I might do that. I mean, I really want to revisit it for sure.
It's pretty amazing. And we did get some action figures from the final season because what happens is Bob gets put into the web, and which I'll leave for you to discuss because that's going to go into the I'm sure your rant of the direction the show went.
Yeah. I mean, of course, with any popular brand show, anything, there's going to be collectibles that come with it. I think I was too young to really get into any of the toys that came with it, so it's very cool to see that. Obviously, there was a lot that came out with it. Were they well made figures, articulation wise?
They were pretty decent. The articulation was the time articulation. They had leg, knee, arm, and elbow joints.
Yeah.
So, and we've had this discussion I have with Alvin about old figures, back in the day, even though they were limited articulation, like the classic Star Wars figures. When you're a kid, you're not really looking at the articulation. You're looking at what story you're creating in your head to play with these toys. So it was endless possibilities.
Yeah.
But now as adults, it's like, if it doesn't have articulation, we don't want it.
Well, for sure, right? But it also caters to a different audience than nowadays, I guess, with a lot of these action figures.
Definitely.
I believe ReBoot also suffered a lot of network censorship when it first came out. Like, there was a lot of jokes that they wanted to express that they couldn't, because they had to be, kid appropriate. But yeah, like I can tell like there's a lot more they wanted to push the direction of things to be a little more risky. In a way.
Well, it's funny you say that because they actually did an episode, and it was Enzo's birthday, and they were putting this big talent show contest together, and they had a censorship woman there, and she was like canceling everything, and I thought that was a good, like, hey, screw you.
Yeah. I mean, that goes to show how far back censorship was in media, even on a kids show, right? Like, anyway. So, do you want to run through the seasons, kind of just briefly? Just so we can kind of work our way through this.
Okay, so we'll work up to the good part when everything gets good. So season 1, we got basic introduction to different characters and different storylines, talking about the UPC codes that everyone holds that differentiates them from everyone else. So it's like It's like us, we have different aspects. Anyways, so then we get into the second season, which the second season wasn't very long. It was only 10 episodes, believe it or not.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I didn't know they actually did short seasons like that.
I didn't either, but now that I'm an adult and I even have the DVD collection of all the seasons, I'm like, oh, season 2 wasn't that big. But it was definitely an awesome season. That's when, they thought, okay, let's get the World Wide Web as a story into this. And this was the lead up, where it was the main story about the web creature. We had hexadecimal and megabyte join.
Them being siblings, right?
Yes, brother and sister. And then in that same episode, or that same season, we had a playoff, the Power Rangers, when they all do their transformation, and then they have the robot. Yeah, remember that?
Yes.
And sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say season 2 is also when they introduced how do you pronounce her name again?
Mouse?
Andrea.
Andrea, yes.
Andrea. Which was a very interesting thing where we can take a character from a game and bring it out now, right? Like why has that never happened before? Or I don't know. Like it kind of broke the narrative for me a little bit, where it's like, oh, I guess we can do that, right?
See, okay, I get that from like real life perspective, but I thought it was a smart way of, okay. But here's the thing, what they did right about it. They took a game sprite out of a game because she became friends with Enzo, but they gave it a good explanation. She didn't just show up. There was the whole process where she downloaded her info onto his icon.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
I will, let me, sorry.
No, it's fine. I was just trying to show a reference image for those that don't know Andrea. Yeah.
That is
interesting
your screen, right?
No, that's yours. That's yours. There we go.
Go for it. The screen is yours.
Andrea, yes, there you go. So what was interesting, which I only recently realized, is that the way her name is spelled has the word AI in it for like artificial intelligence.
Oh,
so you can see there's like the AI symbol, and again that was another play on like let's incorporate technology and like computer stuff into the computers. So it's a very subtle thing that they put in. So in a way, I guess it kind of makes sense that she is some sort of artificial intelligence that can self-sustain without the need of like a game running or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a really cool like cosplay.
I'll be honest with you, that Enzo was so kick-ass. It's not even funny.
Yeah, well, we'll get into what happens in the good parts, I guess. So I mean, so season 2 really set up a lot of what could come next. I guess like it really opened up almost a darker narrative, I guess, where things can go wrong. It's not everything's all happy all the time, right?
Yeah. But before we get into the dark part, one of my favorite things about season 2 was it was a really good play off of X-Files, because X-Files was filmed in Vancouver, so was this cartoon, and it was a play off Fox Mulder, which in the show he was Fax Modem. And then Dana Scully, which was Data, I forgot her last name, but did you know Gillian Anderson actually voiced the character?
I did know that, and that was such a good play, such a good homage to that. It was so good for anyone that knew X-Files, right?
Yeah, it's definitely an episode. If you're an X-Files fan, go watch it. It's the 3rd or 4th episode to the last of season 2. Really enjoyable.
was gonna see if I could pull up a reference image here, but yeah, it was so cool how they again like they can play into any pop culture thing, right?
Yeah.
And just include it in. Yeah.
So while you're looking for that image, I'll continue on. So the last season, we were introduced to the web. So the
Yes.
World Wide Web that was brought to mainframe, and there was going to be this big battle. Oh yes, it even looks like them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Computer form.
Yeah. Yeah. It was nice that they got her to voice herself there.
I just wish they had a fax modem as David Duchovny. Would have been awesome.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, I guess Scott McNeil did a good voice impression of him, anyways.
he did. I'm like, is that actually him? I actually had to go and look and see if it was his voice, but no.
Yeah. Sorry, you were saying?
So, yeah, no, it's all good. This is what we do here. We get sidetracked. So we have this big battle with web creatures and the mainframers. We have Mouse, which is a cool character. She's a hacker, and she's trying to delete mainframe from the World Wide Web so they can't be found. And then Bob was tricked. Megabyte pushed him into Rocket, and they sent him off into the web, and Hexadecimal closed off the portal, and mainframe is left without a guardian.
Yeah.
But they weren't really, because just before that, Bob gave Enzo the guardian code. So he was going to train to be a guardian.
Yes. Yeah. He gave him the glitch, right? The little key tool thing.
Well, yeah, Dot gave that to him after, because Megabyte crushes it, and which leads into the next season of, it's good. It's what people say and what people believe. And he's trying to prove himself as a guardian, and he has to enter the games, and they enter this one game, him and Andrea, which they did figure out how Andrea could enter the games and still come out safely, so she wouldn't get taken. So they enter the game, which we get into Mortal Kombat, and then, things just go awry from there. They both switch their icons, so they're game sprites, so they travel with the games, going from system to system to find mainframe.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about the voiceover in my head where it's like, warning, incoming game,
Yes. And even the opening, like, one thing that we love talking about are the openings of these cartoons, and how iconic it is. As soon as you hear the opening sound of ReBoot, I come from the net through people's systems and cities, and then it's just like you sing along to the whole thing.
Oh yeah. My format?
Guardian.
I don't have a format.
Oh yes,
we will get there.
But yeah, getting into the later episodes, the hunt for Bob, I really enjoyed, because they went from different systems. You have systems that are beautiful, which are like the people who can afford the expensive computers at the time, to computers that are like the Commodore 64 and it's about to break down.
Yes. Well, yeah, and it really reinforced that idea of like, this is a computer system, as if it wasn't already obvious for the first 2 seasons, right? But like, no system is the same from one another. Yeah. But I also like that parallel to like real life, where it's like, you hop from city to city, country to country, where every country is in a different state, right? So there's a lot of really clever tools that was put into play there, where like if you were to go out, leave your house and explore elsewhere, it'll be a very different world. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. So eventually the characters are in the web trying to get to mainframe, and they come across some web creatures. They battle, they find out one of them's Bob. I feel like I shouldn't be saying all this. Spoilers, I should have said. Just go watch it. Honestly, it's...
I don't think it's fair to say that we're spoiling something that came out, like 20 plus years ago. So,
well, if you haven't watched it, there's like I didn't watch Transformers or all of G.I. Joe, so
but fair enough.
But anyways, like in general, the show is still great. It's still got some great storylines. It's great adventure. It's a little bit of play off of everything. It plays off the computer world. Yeah, I cannot complain about this. I really wish the reboot of the show in 2018 was actually a reboot of the show, and we didn't need real life people in there. Just bring back some fun characters that we remember and carry the story into a new direction. We've heard Mainframe's story, and in the end, they all survived and moved on. It's maybe time for a new system. So I'm really hoping that might be in the works, because with how animation has evolved even since 94, I can only imagine what they could do and the new storylines that they can add in there. And they could have someone who steals identities look like the same sprites in the computer and do a whole storyline on that. So what you can remember, who would you say your favorite character is or was?
Fong.
Yes.
I just love Fong as a character. It's just like, well, barring the obvious like Asian references that comes with him, like it provided that wisdom, like the Mr. Miyagi or almost like Master Splinter kind of character, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was always like, you knew that he was gonna say something wise, and I guess as a kid growing up, it's like, oh yeah, that's like it was fun to listen to it. So.
And he was quite funny too.
Oh yeah. He got God. Jokes.
Grandpa jokes.
Yeah.
The one thing I loved about first season with Fong is every time Bob had to go see him for information, they always had to play Pong.
Oh yes.
The original computer game.
Yes.
Yeah. You don't have a second, That's what he says as he's pushing him. And what a cool concept for a character.
Yeah. So Fong is the he. If I was to think of a computer system, like I can't really think of what Fong would have represented. I'm actually trying to think. Do you know, like, if the word Fong was a play on something? Because that's the one thing I couldn't figure out, actually.
It might have been, honestly, until you brought up the AI on Andrea's name. I didn't pick that up. I guess, like, when you go back watching it, you pick up on things that you didn't as a kid. I'm wondering if it was just because Pong was the very first computer game, and then they wanted to create a character, Fong, that sounded like that.
Mm-hmm.
Did you find something?
Yeah, I did some quick googling. It actually referred to Phong shading, which is I guess the style of 3D shading that they did for early computer graphics, which kind of makes sense actually. That's probably how they rendered the show. So yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my God. See,
yeah,
and even behind the scenes, they were very smart. Like,
yeah,
I did not know that. You learn something every day. I seriously,
yeah.
we need that image of the more you know every time we
Yes.
learn something that plays.
Yes,
Um,
yes. The more you know.
don't do drugs.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
obviously, my favorite character was Hexadecimal because
Yeah.
she was so crazy. She was so interesting. One of my favorite episodes was Paint, when she downloaded the Paint program from the principal office and she was painting all over mainframe. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I remember playing with that program as a kid on a computer when we first got one. And we're like, oh my God, we're moving so forward with technology. And even her character change through the last season where she got that crazy look. How do you
Oh,
not like this show?
you mean this one?
Well, there's that one,
Or
but the one before that, the top one, yellow, yeah, that
this?
one.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
It was so
A- a-
crazy.
And that's what I mean by like the character developments in the show, right? Like, only the show is only 4 seasons, but like every season they did something to elevate the existing characters, right? So it's
Hmm.
really nice to see where it's like, yes, your favorite villains or heroes like get upgrades as they progress.
Yeah, and she ends up saving everybody in the final episode with the major virus. She becomes good, and then she was the only one who could spread the antivirus throughout the system. So she sacrificed herself, and that's when
Yeah.
she was in that white outfit.
Yeah. Yeah. I was trying to remember the exact story to that. I really got to go rewatch this.
Yeah,
Yeah, this it's so deep. It's so deep.
yeah. And that's why we do this show is it brings back memories, and you're like, oh, you know what? I should go rewatch that.
Yeah,
We did our job. You're gonna go and rewatch it.
I am gonna go and rewatch it. You're exactly right. Um, yeah. So going into, I guess, like the final. I think you had mentioned wanting to talk about my two Bobs. Or going into, I guess, season 4. It was a movie, right?
Yeah, it was like a spin-off. Um, I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of it.
Yeah. Why is that?
Uh, I don't know. I feel like it was expected, and Bob and Dot are tying the knot, and she can't make up her mind who the real Bob is, and then she falls for the other Bob, which turns out to be Megabyte. I'm like,
Yeah.
it kind of went from action adventure to dramatic love story. I'm just like,
Yeah.
uh,
Well, yeah. Okay. Fine. But again, at my age, I didn't really process that, right. That
yeah.
that's the direction they were going.
I feel like they could have, ended it a little more. It could have had a nice a cliffhanger that could go somewhere, but all it led to was the Guardian code, so no one cared for
Yeah.
that. Ugh, so
So
terrible.
so in your opinion, then, should it have stopped at the end of season 3 and like that was it?
Yes. Um, I feel like I don't know. I feel like if they maybe did a different storyline after they get back to mainframe and defeat Megabyte, you know, they could have carried on a story, but I feel like it was their last season, so they had to give us something. But I felt like they had so many, like, a computer is limitless when you think about it, what it can do, especially nowadays. So, you know, they could have expanded on something, or like I said, we're introduced a new system, give us a new show. But that's all I can say is I hope for, you know, maybe something new in the future with updated graphics.
Well, I guess that's what the Guardian Code was supposed to be. I mean, like when we first heard about it, right? Like they're going to be rebooting it. Like I'm sure all of us, like you know, old schools were wildly excited about it. I was hoping for like just a remaster. Like it could have been the exact same show, but they could have just like, you know, reanimated it with today's today's standards.
That's actually a smart idea, because it's still relevant and the episodes are fun. That's actually, you know, send them a message saying you need to do this, because we even get games nowadays that came out for like PlayStation 2 that they remastered with better graphics. I don't know why they don't touch on that.
So, fun fact, actually, so there's actually someone who did it for free. Did a remaster of it in 4K, and you can actually watch it on YouTube. Like, I think again, it's been out so long that there isn't really any licensing issues on these anymore.
Right.
So I kind of wanted to show it. So this is supposed to be a 4K upscale, and I don't know if you can tell right off the bat, because obviously you watched all of it very recently, right? So, can you tell that like it looks better than it did before?
Oh my god, yes. It's a lot smoother.
Yeah,
it's clear.
Yeah, Cecil, yes, Cecil's a great character.
Oh, what a little, like, you hated him, but you liked him at the same time.
Yes.
Probably also because when this came out, it was also kind of gritty looking. Like it had a graininess to it, where this has a smoother appearance.
Yeah. So, would you recommend I go and watch it as it should be? Because I mean, this like in my head, this is what it always looked like, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what we're used to. You know, we didn't understand that graininess of back then, right?
Well, here's the thing, you know, you could watch it with the graininess and, you know, be a little retro watching it, or you can be up to date and watch it with like smoother transitions, clearer graphics. Like, honestly, if it's a show that you loved, who cares? You're going to go back and watch it again and again. You know, I might not watch it all the time, but I do like to revisit some of these shows and maybe not watch the whole season and just go to my favorite episodes.
Yeah.
Oh, Megabyte, the voice that they got for him.
Yes, it was great. Well, I think I have to spend a couple of days just revisiting all of this. It just looks great.
And it's easy. They're like 20-minute episodes, so
yeah. So this is what I was hoping for when they said they were going to remake a reboot, right? I wanted it to be the same show, but just like redone in a modern way. And I would have been perfectly content with that, because the story was fine, the voice acting was fantastic, right? Like they didn't have to reinvent it.
No,
hack and slash.
These two were definitely the comedic relief of the show. You know, yes, it had some fun in between, but like these two, you love them because they're stupid, but they're also pretty freaking powerful as well. They're really strong. But you wouldn't have a funny show if you didn't have hack and slash.
Yeah. Well, We're having a nostalgia moment right now, and hey, that's
Yeah.
what Mighty Morning's all about, right?
Yeah.
So again, for everyone joining us, I mean, yeah, twice a week. Is it? Yeah, twice a week. We're running the Mighty Mornings, talking about all the classics.
Yes. And like I said, guys, tune in March 4th. Me and Elvin have the same birthdays. So we're going to do a fun event. We might have some things to give away. But again, we're still planning everything out. Just be sure to join us. It's going to be a big party. And then I have my birthday party to go to afterwards.
Just stream it live. Stream it live for everyone.
Ooh, I don't think that's a good thing.
that's
But we
that's
will.
that's for the after hours, right?
Yeah, exactly. Join us at 9 p.m. for my after hour party. But yeah, it's funny how like when I started with A&R and then just getting to chat with Elvin and then we find out our birthdays are on the same day. I'm like, shut up.
And you guys have been friends for how long now?
Too long. But no, that kind of going off topic. That's what I love about loving these retro shows. Being a collector is you're so local with a community, and me and Elvin are in the same chat. That's where I met him, and we started chatting, and he says he likes Phoenix. He's not that big of a Phoenix fan. As I sip my tea.
Yes. Well, I
But
mean, you can tell when someone's a true fan and they're just faking it till they make it.
yeah, which Alvin does often. I love how we can talk about him because he's not here. So
at his expense, yes.
yes. But yeah, all in all, I have no complaints about this show. The minor feedback about the My Two Bobs is again very minor, but just go watch it, enjoy it. Let us know what you guys think in the comments, and definitely check out our Instagram, which is astonishing NR.
Yes.
Yes. And we also have a YouTube channel where we review toys, while mostly Alvin does. If you go back like 20 years ago, you'll see me in a couple of the review videos. So yeah, it's definitely. Oh, and then we have A&R Gaming.
Yes.
We have Popcorn Chicken. Oh my God, Popcorn Chicken. Elvin asked me to join the cast for The Last of Us, and I'm like, dude, that's on a Sunday at 9:30. I gotta be in bed by 9:30. And knowing how we talk, we go off topic, and it can go for 2 hours.
For sure. So, I mean, yeah, that's exactly what Popcorn Chicken's for, right? So for everyone else that wants to know about the modern shows that are on airing right now and want to hear our opinions on it, yeah, definitely check out the Popcorn Chicken segments for sure.
Do you do any of the Star Wars or The Last of Us?
I haven't been part of those podcasts yet, mostly because I'm just not as in tune. Like I enjoy Star Wars, but like I by no means consider myself like a diehard fan, or like I don't know the intricacies of it. But I've watched the movies and I've watched the TV series, and they were great. They were fun. I think I enjoyed it more than Elvin did. But there are times where, just by not being a diehard fan, you enjoy it more, right? Because you don't get sucked into like the little nuances of like, that wasn't accurate, right? That whole story was wrong. I'm like, yeah, who cares? It was entertaining.
It's kind of terrible because it's like The Walking Dead. I read the comics before the show came out, and I hate being that person where it's like, oh, they changed that. But there's times where they make the change where it's still relevant to the source material, but they had to change it in a way to surprise us.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, with not being a diehard fan, I never played the Last of Us game,
Yeah.
surprisingly. But watching the TV show, it was. I know we're okay. This is like a little popcorn chicken review. So I'm going to talk about The Last of Us for a second.
Yes.
I loved it because it's coming from a new angle of zombies, and it's kind of scary because it's what's actually going on in a world where the planet's heating up. Fungus actually does things to us, like it makes us trip out if you're
Yeah.
taking mushrooms. But it's a new angle on a classic take of the zombie, and it's creepier because it's more realistic because fungus and mushroom plants are real.
Yeah.
So,
It's like it could actually happen, right?
oh, it's gonna happen.
Yes.
Probably.
Yeah. Who knows, right? Who knows? Like all the science fiction is really just a prediction of what's to come.
Is it though? Remember the communicators in Star Trek that we now have cell phones that does everything on these little guys?
I mean, at the time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, look at Back to the Future.
Okay,
Right?
as long as the Simpsons don't talk about it, I'm fine.
Yes.
Because everything the Simpsons do is like
It
fortune
comes
tell.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've definitely seen those where it's like all their predictions somehow came true. It's some weird Illuminati stuff.
Oh god, you're peeling back an onion that's
Yeah,
we can talk about for hours.
that's for a separate show.
You know what? Let's talk to Alvin and see if we can get the conspiracy theory. A&R conspiracy theories.
Well, it can definitely be pop culture related, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's it.
Yes. So ReBoot, amazing. I give it a 9 out of 10 for just in general. I'd ask you, but you need to go watch it first.
Yes, I have to rewatch it for sure. And guys, not the Netflix Guardian Code version of it. No. We're not going to go there. I mean, I'm not going to stop people if they want to, but
well, sometimes you have to experience the bad to realize how bad it is to not watch it. Because we get that thing where, oh my god, I need to see this because we're a big fan, and you're like, I'm glad I watched it because I know what I'm missing. Nothing.
Yeah. It was not worth the time, but yeah, I'll definitely. This was a good nostalgia trip for me. Like it was great to talk about it. I'm definitely gonna. It inspires me to want to go and revisit it, and I definitely will. It was definitely the high point of YTV television.
Oh my god! And it was like the biggest cartoon of its time because it was all computer animated.
Yeah,
and
it was.
It was, and it's crazy to think that this was in 1994.
Yeah,
it was almost at the time when animation and the evolution of computers are changing. Honestly, it's also scary how fast we've become technically inclined in this world. I'm shocked that we can't teleport. Like, come on.
Like, that should be obvious. Come on.
I know. And we should have flying cars, but I guess Tide Pod Challenge is more important. Oh.
Yeah. That's where Nintendo got their idea.
Are you serious?
I'm no. Well, it's all speculation. It's just one of those isn't that a funny coincidence that they went with purple and it's a cube shape, right?
That's too coincidental. Come on,
Yeah.
Nintendo.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
never a big Nintendo fan anyways. Not to say that it's a bad company. It's an amazing company because it helps set the standards of what gaming is today.
Mm-hmm.
And we had the Nintendo system, but I'm more of a PlayStation.
Ah. Well,
Yeah.
well, we can definitely talk more, maybe on our gaming channel one day.
Yes. But
Well, well, otherwise, I guess I'd like to thank everybody who did come out to join us. Thank you, Chris, for having me. This is a great time. When I heard that we're going to do a reboot, I'm like, I want to be a part of that.
yeah, and Elvin's like, I'm not gonna be there, and you're talking about reboot. I'm like, this is the best episode ever.
Yes. Yeah, we just get free reign.
Exactly. So that's why we make fun of Elvin when he's not here. Or
Yeah.
at least I do. He can't fire
All
me.
all right, guys. Thank you as always for joining us. I mean, you can check out our any of our social handles in our universe. Otherwise, look forward to next Mighty Mornings or one of our many other shows that we air throughout the week. All right.
Yes, definitely. Thanks again. And we will see you March 4th.
Yes.
Yeah,
Have a
crazy.
great day, guys.
Bye.